Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a movie from the 1980s. The movie is Rahul Rawail's Arjun starring Sunny Deol. But before we talk about Arjun, let us look at the 1980s and the decade that it was for Hindi cinema. This decade has traditionally been overlooked and the content been classified as cringe or massy, but if you look deeper you'll realize that it is far from the truth. So if you look at the two big stalwarts from the 1970s, Prakash Mehra and Manmohan Desai, both of them continued into the 1980s, delivering hits after hits with Amitabh, movies like Lavaris, Coolie, and so on and so forth. Shekhar Kapoor arrived on the scene with Masoom and Mr. India. One very underrated director, J.P. Datta, made movies like Gulami, Batwara, Hatyar, and these are really good movies for the times they were made in. Rahul Rawail himself, before he made Arjun, made movies like Love Story and Betab, which were huge hits. And 1980s, of course, was the time of Jani Bhi Do Yaro, the cult classic comedy. A director called Pankaj Parasar made three wacky comedies in this decade: Ab Aayega Maza, Picha Karo, and Jalwa. So, in this decade, right in the middle of this decade, Rahul Rawail made another movie with Sunny Deol, which was Arjun, that released in 1985. The movie that launched 1,000 remakes. Now, Arjun is a landmark film, not just in Hindi cinema, but in Indian cinema. The reason I say that is because apart from the direct remakes that it spawned, like Satya and Tamil starring Kamal Hassan, the prototype of Arjun, the lead character, which was created by Javed Akhtar, was used and rehashed in multiple films across Hindi, Telugu, and Tamil industries, and probably other industries as well. And this movie inspired Ram Gopal Verma to make Shiva. If you look at Shiva, the protagonist of Shiva is nothing but Arjun taken out from the world of the movie Arjun and placed in college, and that is Shiva for you. If you look at the poster of Shiva that has Nagarjuna with a cycle chain in his hand, it is also a hat tip to the poster of Rahul Rawail's Arjun that has a dapper looking Sunny Deol with an iron rod in his hand. Arjun is the story of an unemployed but educated young man and his group of friends who are disillusioned by the corruption in the society, who are looking out for jobs, keep moving from one office to another, but all they are faced with are the no vacancy signboards. And this disillusionment then leads them to take strong measures against the ills of the society, or the representatives of the ills of the society. Uh, Now, we got to keep this in mind that this was made at a time when India was not yet into the liberalization mode. This was a pre-liberalization time which is more popularly known as the license Raj, where it was a hotbed of corruption. Employment was not that easily available. There was no IT boom yet. So, educated young men had very few avenues to look for jobs. The plot of Arjun is all about how this disillusioned and angry youth is used by the politicians for their own benefits, and how Arjun and his friends first get trapped in this tug of war and then fight their way through it. Arjun has some really powerful performances by Sunny Deol, by Supriya Pathak, who plays his sister, by A.K. Hangal, who plays his helpless dad, by Anupam Kher and Prem Chopra, who play rival politicians. The movie also has a lot of things going for it in terms of the technicality. The fights in the movie are markedly different from what was prevalent in Hindi cinema till that period of time, with the loud dishum noise. This is not that movie. In Arjun, the action is raw. You can almost feel the punches, like you can feel Arjun's anger. The movie has two very popular songs. One is the song of camaraderie between Arjun and his friends, Duniya Bura Mane To Goli Maro. The other one is a very interesting song that has Dimple Kapadia, who plays a journalist, playing a game of riddles with children. And it's very interesting because to all the riddles, the answer that comes from Arjun is the same: Naukri, or job. So apart from the technical brilliance in the film and the powerful performances, Arjun, while adhering to the template of the commercial cinema, still ended up making a poignant statement on the society and politics of its time. In today's day and age, when most of the things that we consume has been either created or put out on the internet over the last 3 days, it's very important that once in a while we go back to the past and see the origin of certain things, because it will help us understand cinema better. To know where we are today, we need to know where we have come from. So I recommend you do watch Arjun to understand the evolution of the Hindi cinema action hero.